The alarm sounded across the control room of Zyron Defense Station, a deep space outpost guarding the outer borders of the Dravok Empire. The officers inside froze. The station's early warning systems had detected an unknown warship entering their sector. Commander Vrelon stepped forward, his scaled hands gripping the edges of the control console. His yellow reptilian eyes flickered as he read the data on the screen. The ship was moving fast, too fast for a routine patrol, and its power signature was unlike anything recorded in the Dravok database. "Is it one of ours?" he asked sharply. The scanning officer, a young Dravok named Lieutenant Kalvik, shook his head. "No, Commander, it doesn't match any known design in the Empire." And he hesitated. Vrelon narrowed his eyes. "Speak." Kalvik swallowed. "Sir, it's human." Silence fell over the room. For years, the Dravok Empire had heard rumors about the humans, creatures from a dangerous death world called Earth. They were a young species, new to the galactic stage, but they had already gained a reputation for being unpredictable, violent, and unstoppable when provoked. The Empire had never fought them directly. Until now. Vrelon exhaled slowly. "How large is the ship?" Kalvik checked the readings again. His claws trembled slightly. "Just one ship, sir." Laughter broke out among the officers. One of them, Captain Selker, smirked. "One ship. That's it. The mighty humans sent a single vessel into our space. Either they are foolish or they are lost." Vrelon didn't share his amusement. He knew better than to underestimate a species with a reputation for fighting against impossible odds and winning. "What's its trajectory?" he asked. Kalvik's voice grew even quieter. "It's coming straight for us." The laughter died. Vrelon clenched his jaw. "Open a channel. Send a standard identification request. Let's see if they respond." The communications officer pressed a series of glowing keys. A message was transmitted. Seconds passed. Then a minute. No response. "Send it again." Another minute. Still nothing. Vrelon felt something cold settle in his chest. He had studied ancient military history, and one lesson stood out among them all. The most dangerous enemy is the one that doesn't speak. The silent ones came with a purpose. "Sir," Kalvik whispered, "it's charging weapons." A wave of tension filled the room. The officers scrambled to their stations. Warnings flashed across the monitors. The ship was still far away, but its energy levels spiked, indicating it was ready to fire at any moment. "This doesn't make sense," Captain Selker muttered. "Why would they engage us? They are outnumbered." Vrelon didn't answer. His mind raced through the possibilities. The humans weren't reckless. If they had sent only one ship, then it meant they didn't need more. A heavy silence filled the control room. Then, without warning, the lights flickered. The holo displays glitched for a split second before returning to normal. It was almost imperceptible, but Vrelon noticed. He had spent decades on warships, and he knew the systems better than anyone. Something was wrong. "Scan the station for anomalies," he ordered. The scanning officer tapped on his console. His eyes widened. "Sir, we've just been scanned." Vrelon stiffened. Scanned. That meant the human warship had already gathered data on their defenses. "Impossible," Selkor snapped. "Our shields block long-range scans." The scanning officer's hands trembled over his console. "Then, how did they do it?" Vrelon's voice was grim. "I don't know. But they just learned everything about us." More warning signals flashed. The human ship was accelerating. "It's coming at full speed," Kalvik whispered. Vrelon felt his heartbeat quicken. The enemy wasn't running, hiding, or negotiating. It was charging straight at them. The alarm blared again. Impact in 2 minutes. Vrelon took a deep breath and issued the only order that made sense. "Prepare for battle." The Dravok Defense Station had never faced a direct assault before. Positioned at the farthest edge of the Empire, it was built for monitoring, not combat. But now, A single human warship was approaching with hostile intent, and every officer on board knew this was no ordinary enemy. Commander Vrelon stood rigid, his scaled fingers gripping the armrest of his command chair. The alarms blared across the control deck, red lights flashing like a heartbeat of an empire on the edge of war. "Status on enemy ship," he barked. Lieutenant Kalvik, still pale from the shock of their previous encounter, scrambled through the data. "Sir, it's still accelerating. Speed is unnatural." Captain Selkwer, his pride still unshaken, scoffed. "Unnatural? What does that even mean?" Kalvik turned, his voice barely above a whisper. "Sir, it's moving faster than any ship of its size should. The energy readings are off the charts, and I can't detect its engine signature." A heavy silence settled over the command room. No engine signature. That was impossible. Every warship left a trace. Plasma trails, ionized particles, even the smallest gravitational distortions. But this human vessel, it moved like a shadow cutting through space. Vrelon's claws tapped against the metal console. This was wrong. "Bring up visuals," he ordered. The holographic display flickered to life, showing a dark, angular warship, sleek and predatory. Its surface absorbed light rather than reflected it, giving it an eerie ghost-like presence. And it was closing in fast. "Magnify." The image zoomed in. Vrelon felt something cold slither down his spine. The ship bore no insignia, no markings, nothing to suggest its allegiance or purpose. Just a black void cutting through the darkness of space. And then, it vanished. The entire command deck gasped. Where did it go? Selkwer snapped. Kalvik's fingers danced across his console. "I don't know, sir. It just disappeared from our sensors." "Impossible," Vrelon muttered. "No ship can." A new alarm screamed across the station. "Warning. Multiple systems malfunctioning." "Report," Vrelon roared. One of the engineers, voice trembling, responded. "Sir, we've lost control of external defenses. Our turrets, they're offline." Vrelon's eyes widened. "How?" The engineer swallowed hard. "Something. No, someone is inside our system. A cyber attack." Selkwer slammed his fist onto the console. "That's absurd. Our firewalls are the best in the Empire. No one cold." The lights flickered. Then the main screen shut down. For a long, terrifying moment, everything was silent. Then a voice, cold, deep, and inhumanly calm, echoed through the entire station. "You have been evaluated. You are not a threat." Every officer froze. "You will surrender, or you will be eliminated." Vrelon's blood ran cold. The humans weren't just attacking. They were in control. A deep, unnatural silence filled the Dravok defense station. The human voice that had spoken moments ago still echoed in the minds of the officers. It wasn't a threat. It was a statement of fact. Commander Vrelon clenched his jaw, his scaled fists trembling. No one had ever dared to infiltrate Dravok systems like this. No one had ever spoken to them with such certainty. Lieutenant Kalvik swallowed hard. "Sir, what are your orders?" Vrelon's gaze darted to the main screen. It was still dark, refusing to reboot. The enemy ship had vanished, but the station scanners screamed with warnings. This phantom vessel was still out there, watching, waiting. "We fight," Captain Selkwer growled, stepping forward. His reptilian eyes blazed with defiance. "We are the Dravok Empire. We do not surrender to ghosts." Vrelon hesitated. Was this truly a battle they could win? But before he could speak, the attack began. The station shook violently, alarms wailing. Lights flickered, and the floor beneath them rumbled as if something massive had struck. "Impact detected on Deck 5. Kalvik shouted. His hands flew over the controls, trying to regain access. "Sir, our shields." Another explosion rocked the station. Sparks rained from the ceiling as consoles overloaded. "Our shields are offline." Vrelon's breath caught in his throat. Impossible. Selker bared his fangs. Returned fire. Now. The weapons officer slammed the controls, launching a barrage of plasma torpedoes into the void. The warheads streaked forward, glowing like miniature suns, heading straight for the last known position of the human warship. The moment stretched. Then, nothing. The warheads vanished. Not detonated. Not deflected. Simply gone. What happened? Kalvik stammered. Did they jam our targeting? The screen flickered back to life. A single image filled the display. The human warship, untouched, unmoved, and waiting. Then, without warning, it fired. A single thin beam of blue light cut through the void, moving so fast that their sensors barely registered it. The impact was instant. A loud, sickening groan tore through the station as the upper hull buckled. The defense platform, designed to withstand planetary bombardments, was sliced open like paper. Emergency klaxons blared. The crew screamed as the entire station lurched sideways. Metal twisted. Entire sections imploded. We're losing structural integrity. An engineer cried out. Hull breach on multiple levels. Vrelon stared in horror. One shot. Just one. The station was dying. His mind raced. The humans could have destroyed them instantly, but they hadn't. They were proving a point. You were warned. The voice returned, smooth and cold. You will not receive another warning. The line went dead. Silence. The bridge crew sat in mute shock, watching as the phantom warship slowly turned away. Leaving. They had survived. But not because they had won. Because the humans had decided to let them live. The station drifted in the void, its once proud structure now a ruined shadow of its former self. Fires burned across multiple decks, oxygen leaking into space like the station itself was gasping for air. The battle, if it could even be called that, was over. But no one on the bridge spoke. No one dared to move. Commander Vrelon stood frozen, his claws gripping the railing so tightly that his scaled knuckles turned pale. He could still hear the human's cold, unwavering voice ringing in his ears. You were warned. You will not receive another warning. The humans could have wiped them out completely. But they chose not to. That realization was far more terrifying than destruction itself. Lieutenant Kalvik broke the silence, his voice barely above a whisper. Sir, what do we do now? Vrelon slowly turned his gaze toward the main screen. The human warship was gone, vanished into the depths of space like a phantom. It had entered their system, crippled their defenses in minutes, and left, untouched, undefeated. Are there any survivors on Deck 5? Captain Selker asked, his voice hoarse. A technician checked the status readouts, his claws trembling over the controls. We've lost all contact with Deck 5, sir, and sections of Deck 6 are, he swallowed, gone, completely. Vrelon exhaled slowly, feeling an unfamiliar weight press on his chest. The Dravok Empire had always considered itself strong, unbreakable, superior. Yet tonight, they had been toys in the hands of a single human warship. Selker clenched his fists. We need to report this to High Command. They need to understand the threat we face. A tense silence followed. No one said it, but they all knew the truth. High Command wouldn't believe them. They would claim the Dravok defense station had been attacked by an unknown force, a trick of an advanced species, or sabotage from within. They would not accept that a single human warship had done this. Vrelon turned toward Kalvik. Get me a direct link to the War Council. Kalvik hesitated. Sir, our long-range comms took damage in the attack. It could take hours to repair. Vrelon's claws dug into the metal console. Then make it minutes. The crew scrambled into action, working desperately to restore communications. Then something unexpected happened. The main screen flickered, and a message appeared. Transmission from unknown source. ENCYBTY. Human Military Standard. Me SSAG QOGNTNT. 1 FIL. ATTGG. The bridge fell silent. No one moved. A file. From the human ship. Kalvik looked at Vrelon, his eyes filled with unease. "Sir, should we open it?" Selker's voice was sharp. It could be a trap. Or a warning, Vrelon thought grimly. He took a breath. Open it. The screen changed, revealing a single image. A map of the Dravok Empire. A red X marked the capital planet. The meaning was clear. The humans were coming. And this time, they would not leave survivors. The bridge was silent, the weight of the human message pressing on every crew member like a collapsing star. Commander Vrelon stared at the red X on the map, his mind racing. The human warship had already humiliated them, had shattered their defenses in minutes, had proven their power beyond doubt. And now, this message. A warning, a declaration, a promise. "Commander," Lieutenant Kalvik's voice was hesitant, uncertain. What do we do?" Vrelon's claws tightened into a fist. "We send this to High Command." Captain Selker scoffed, his voice bitter. "And tell them what? That an entire Dravok defense station was crippled in less than an hour by a single human ship. That their superior fleet couldn't stop it. They won't believe us." "They have to," Vrelon snapped. "If they don't..." A sharp beep interrupted him. "Sir," a technician called out, his voice shaking. "We're receiving a direct transmission from the human ship." The air froze in the bridge. "They're calling us," Kalvik whispered. "On screen. Now." The screen flickered, and then a human appeared. It wasn't a monster or a creature of myths like the Dravok had always imagined. It was just a man. Calm, cold, unshaken. His uniform was black, marked only with a simple insignia. No medals, no decorations. He didn't need them. He had already proven his worth in battle. "Dravok Command." The human's voice was steady, carrying no emotion. "You have been measured. You have been found lacking." The word sent a chill through the crew. "You invaded our borders. You threatened our colonies. You thought us weak. Now, you know the truth." Vrelon clenched his jaw. "What do you want?" The human stared at him, unblinking. "Surrender." Gasps filled the bridge. Selker shook his head violently. "Never. The Dravok Empire will never bow to." "Then you will burn." The human's words cut through the room like a blade. "This ship is one of many. If you refuse, your capital will be next. Your fleets will fall. Your empire will crumble. You have one chance." The transmission ended. The screen went dark. The silence that followed was suffocating. Selker slammed his fist against the console. "We can't. We won't surrender." His breathing was heavy, his eyes wild. "They're bluffing. One ship can't. They are not bluffing." Vrelon's voice was quiet, but firm. Selker turned to him, furious. "You can't be serious. We are the Dravok. We. They could have destroyed us." Vrelon's eyes hardened. "They didn't, because they want us to make a choice. Surrender, or be erased from history." Kalvik swallowed. What do we tell High Command?" Vrelon exhaled slowly. "The truth." And for the first time in his life, he realized. The truth was terrifying. The bridge of the Dravok Command Station was a battlefield of silence. No one spoke. No one moved. The human's ultimatum hung in the air like a death sentence. Vrelon sat in his command chair, his claws digging into the armrests. His mind raced through possibilities, but each one led to the same conclusion. The Dravok were outmatched. Captain Selker's voice finally shattered the silence. "This is madness," he barked, his fangs bared. "You want to surrender to a single ship. You want to throw away centuries of conquest. The High Council will never allow it." Vrelon's yellow eyes snapped to him. The High Council does not understand what we face. Selker growled. Then we make them understand. We fight. We. A new alert flashed on the screen. Kalvik's voice was tight with fear. Commander, the human ship is charging weapons. A collective gasp rippled through the crew. Selker's fists clenched. So much for their mercy. Vrelon's heart pounded in his chest. The humans were done waiting. Incoming transmission, the technician whispered. From the human warship. Vrelon gritted his teeth. On screen, the human commander appeared again, his expression unchanged, calm, precise, and in complete control. Dravok command, your time is up. Vrelon exhaled slowly. You would truly destroy us. The human's gaze was ice cold. You are already destroyed. You just haven't accepted it yet. A heavy silence followed. Selker's voice was a snarl. We will. No, you won't, the human interrupted. You won't fight. Because you can't win. And you know it. Selker's breath hitched. Vrelon stared at the human, studying him. There was no pride in his voice, no arrogance, just certainty. The war was already over. The only question was how it would end. This is your final warning. The human's voice was steady. Surrender or be erased. The transmission cut off. The bridge was deathly quiet. Kalvik's claws hovered over his console. Commander, orders. Vrelon slowly closed his eyes. For the first time in Dravok history, he would make a choice no Dravok commander had ever made before. Send a message to the High Council. Selker's eyes widened. Vrelon, you can't. The commander turned to him, his voice calm but final. We surrender. Selkor staggered back, as if struck. A message was sent, and for the first time, the Dravok Empire, the great conquerors of the galaxy, bowed their heads, not to weakness, not to fear, but to the truth. The message was sent. For the first time in Dravok history, the words, "We surrender," left the command station and traveled across the stars. The High Council received it within minutes. The response came even faster. Unacceptable. Hold the line. Reinforcements are on the way. Vrelon closed his eyes. They didn't understand. They still believed they had a choice. But the humans had already decided this war. A sudden beeping echoed across the bridge. Kalvik's voice was uneasy. Commander, the human warship is moving. Vrelon's eyes snapped open. How? The human vessel had been stationary for hours, merely watching. Now it drifted forward, slow but deliberate. Another alert sounded. They've disabled our weapon systems. Selkor snarled. They didn't fire a shot. How? Kalvik's hands trembled over his console. I don't know. Our systems are just dead. Vrelon's stomach tightened. The humans had taken their time. They had let the Dravok choose. But now, they were done waiting. A final transmission appeared on the main screen. The human commander's expression was unchanged, calm, precise, and in complete control. Your leaders refuse to accept reality. That is their mistake. His voice was neither angry nor mocking. It was just the truth. This is how your empire ends. The screen went black. Then, silence. The warship did nothing. No weapons fired. No attacks came. And yet, across the Dravok communication networks, one by one, ships began to go dark. Battleships stopped responding. Fleets powered down. Entire stations went offline. The Dravok High Council's last order was a desperate, panicked transmission. Fight ye back. But there was nothing left to fight with. The human ship had not fired a single shot. And still, the war was over. Selker's breathing was ragged, his voice barely a whisper. What did they do? Vrelon exhaled slowly. He finally understood. They won.